evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Patriots MayeFlower Voyage here on NE Patriots Talk. We are currently heading into week 6 of the NFL season after coming off of a huge primetime win against the Buffalo Bills at their home turf for the final time until we potentially play against them maybe in the playoffs. I don't know, maybe. But as far as we know, it's going to be the final time at our stadium. And we're now heading to where it used to be Super Bowl 59's arena. But as always, we're heading to New Orleans. We're steering the ship from Buffalo to New Orleans, and we're going to get the show started. As always, I'm your captain of the ship, Dow, a.k.a. DTN. We got our lovely two gentlemen, Mr. Schultz and Mr. Lesage. Boys, how are we doing?
We're doing really well tonight, Dow. How about you, buddy?
Man, I'm just
that got me laughing.
I was just exhausted because I was at Sky Zone, and yeah, I got to have fun. But
throughout the week, I had to work today, so here we are. But
throughout the week I was stressing out because October is usually the season of midterm exams and projects and papers, and it's a menace to society. But yeah,
I've been there, done that, man. It's not fun.
Yeah, I feel a lot better earlier in the week. I missed obviously the post-game show for the Bills, so just real quick, go freaking Pats. I mean, I can't explain how excited I am over the win that we had against the Bills. Just an incredible game through and through. But I'm just very happy to be back talking on here. Like I said, I don't know what it was, stomach bug, something. Just wasn't in any shape to really be talking or anything. But let's get down to business, boys.
Oh, you know that. And we got a lot to discuss. Injury reports. We got some elevations. We are definitely going to see the changes based off of the depth of all of the teams for both the Saints and the Patriots. So It's going to be interesting to see how this injury report is going to spice things up. But as always, guys, if you haven't already, let me post up this banner that you please smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's definitely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on this channel, and we appreciate the support from all of you guys. We are currently, from the last time I checked, we are now at 97 subscribers. So once we get 3 more subscribers, and once we hit 100 subscribers, and I'll say this again, not only we're doing a live stream where it's a Q&A segment, it's a call-in show, it's going to be some giveaways. We are also thinking of opening up a Discord server exclusively with the Patriots Clubhouse gang, and I can't wait to interact with some of you guys talking football instead of having to be toxic fans like 95% of the Patriots fan base. And as always, if you haven't seen in the chat, that please post in your questions and comments relating to the Patriots and football. We want to make sure that we keep it clean. We make sure that we get things going, and we don't have to make these stops because of some trolls and some nonsense. Like we've done that in the past. Let's try to make sure that we improve time after time again. Here, as always, we are now currently into the second quarter of the season, so it's best to make sure that we are on the right track. But let's get started with the injury report from the Patriots. So from the press conference, Mike Vrabel said to the media yesterday and this afternoon that the 4 players who are going to be out for tomorrow's game we already know that Antonio Gibson is going to be out. That's for sure. He's
for the season. Yeah.
But the other 3 players are all on defense: Anthony Jennings, Keon White, and Jalen Hawkins. When I look at that injury report, Andy, I see that Keon White still has not shown me signs of life in a certain way. What do we do with Keon White? Why is he not improving?
I don't know. It just seems like Keon White. It seems like from the word go, Well, not so much back during the preseason, but especially now, it just doesn't seem like Vrabel. He just is not. Save for Gonzo, of course, he's not really in on those Belichick defense guys. I mean, he got rid of Jabril Peppers, which I'm sure we're all still fairly ticked about. He and Keon White kind of seem to be on the outs with each other. I'm not entirely sure why, but it just does seem weird that he's hardly seen the field at all through the first 5 weeks of this season, and I think he could potentially be trade material. I'm not sure what we'd get for him, but yeah, he's kind of just like filling a roster spot at this point, and for a young team that really, to be frank, is still trying to find its way in the NFL, that's not a very good look.
Do you think that by the trade deadline we could trade away Keon White for potentially a reliable edge?
Because seeing as there's a chance. Austin, you're kind of shaking your head. No, yes, you're not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure really what trade capital Keon White warrants. I mean, he was
neither am I.
What was it, a second or third round pick a while back? It's tough to see his fit on the team here because Vrabel does value more speed rushers off the edge rather than a more physical bull rusher type of edge. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where he ends up. I mean, the future of this team is so uncertain. There's so many people on the team this year that you could say, yeah, there's probably no chance they're going to be on the team next year, just because if we have X amount of players that are set in stone, future foundations of the team, X amount of players that are, veteran pieces that help, and then X amount of players that are just holding stuff together for the time being, it's like we're probably going to have at least 15 people that are new next year. And I mean, Keon White definitely could be outside looking in just because of that. Again, I don't know what sort of trade value he'd really warrant other than a later round pick, if anything. And then the question of, could you trade Keon White for a better edge? It's I don't think any team would want to trade their better edge for a worse, quote unquote, worse edge, unless it fits their scheme.
And there's, he's got, there's Harold Landry, there's Keelavon Chason, we've got Braden Swinson, whom obviously we drafted.
I thought for sure too this week with Keon White being out that they probably would have elevated Braden Swinson.
Swinson, yeah, elevated
I thought
Swinson.
So too, but
they went with Truman Jones, and I like that guy too, so I'm not heartbroken about it. But from
enlighten me, because I hardly know anything about Truman Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he just seems like a solid player, but I don't know that much either, to be honest. I just thought with the reports of Braden Swinson continually improving throughout the regular season, because we don't really get a behind-the-scenes look of what's always going on at practice. But I guess they were saying Braden Swinson's constantly taking strides, getting better. So I thought for sure if he was going to get elevated, this would have been one of those weeks, which tells me he's probably still a little bit off. But if anything, you're probably looking at Braden Swinson going, that's the Keon White replacement.
Yeah, because go ahead.
Which would mean you'd elevate
future wise.
Okay, fair.
Because I know it's kind of early to look into the draft so far, but as far as I know, and I'm not going to try to make comparisons between the Patriots and the Jets again, because both of us have first year head coaches. But what's interesting is that even though we're getting rid of some of the old regime players that we had, even though they were good players, we're surprisingly doing better than we all expected,
especially on offense.
Yeah, and compared to the Jets, they retain some of their players, but they're still winless because you have still some of these players who are not disciplined, who are still from that other regime, and nothing has improved. So that is basically the difference, because you obviously have a couple of fan bases pounding on desk for why are we getting rid of these players? I was one of these. he's fan, so I could take the blame and I can eat crow. But when I realized that when I see some of these players gone, even though they were good players, they don't want to be like sniffs of like the Belichick regime and like it's now the Mike Vrabel regime. So that's what we want to focus on. But with the Jets, you still have some of the players from the Robert Saleh or Adam Gase players, and then Aaron Glenn try to change the culture. But the problem is you still haven't got rid of some of these players who are causing these kind of mistakes. So,
and like you said last night, Dow, at least I think Dow, tell me if this was you. Glenn might be one of those guys who's kind of like Josh McDaniels. He's a very effective this might have been Tyler actually, very effective coordinator, but not so much a head coach.
I could say he's more of a Gerard Mayo in a sense that
Mayo,
even though he has experience as a coordinator, he is acting like a CEO head coach in a sense. And DPF mentions a really good point that the Jets are currently the youngest team in the league, not the Packers, but the Jets.
The Jets are younger than we are?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a problem. There's a reason why I'm comparing the 2025 Jets to the 2024 Patriots, because you still have some of these players who are not being accountable with one another. But let's get back to we'll talk about it at the end, and we're getting off track here. But let's talk about another player from the injury report, and that is Jalen Hawkins. I have a problem with Jalen Hawkins, Austin, and it's not because he's like a bad safety. I just feel like the problem with our safety room, is that we can't tackle tight ends properly. And after that Buffalo Bills game, Dalton Kincaid wreaked havoc against us. How is it going to impact the defensive schemes with Jalen Hawkins out? Do you think we might see a bit of Cal Duggar or maybe a bit of Del Pettis?
And you're going up against Juwan Johnson this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like to coin Jalen Hawkins as Mr. Coin Flip, because it seems like 50% of the time he's making this out-of-the-world play where, against the Bills he had the sack, but then like you said, he let open Dalton Kincaid on one of those, Josh Allen escapes and kind of hits him downfield type of thing. It just seems repeatedly he lets something open wide and then he makes a play that changes the game. I think he, even first week of the season or whatever, it was let up a touchdown, then gets an interception. It's he needs to fluctuate his play better. It's not like we have a McCourty back there or a Patrick Chung or just people that are more solid. You could tell these people are still kind of fresh in the safety room coverage wise. And we've really struggled coverage wise since McCourty left. Yeah, exactly. He's more of a free safety than a strong safety, but still I expect him to cover better. But yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of Duggar and Del Pettis. Obviously Duggar's probably the easier choice because he obviously has the experience and he has the contract, and they're probably just trying to, all right, we're going to throw you in and see how much you can do, and maybe we can use you as trade bait before the deadline. And I thought Del Pettis played well when Duggar and Jabril Peppers missed time last year. So I'm not too worried, but I do think safety is probably one of our biggest areas of need.
Yeah, and we did drafted a safety last offseason when we did not think we were going to need a safety, but we did draft a safety in Craig Woodson. But when I look at these stats, you're going to hear these stats, and I found these stats on Instagram. There were some advanced data from that Bills game, and let me find this stat. This is the stat. Josh Allen had a 151.0 passer rating when targeting Jalen Hawkins in coverage, second highest, which is the worst, among safeties from week 5. When you think about these stats, how do you think that Hawkins should be playing more as a free safety or strong safety? Because I think Kyle Duggar is more of your box safety, I would assume.
I mean, Jalen Hawkins to me, like it seems like we've been trying to play him in the box. That's kind of like where he's been making the plays. Like he comes down almost. So I almost wonder if they see him similar to Marte Mapu. I know that sounds a little weird, but I don't know. I never thought Jalen Hawkins was crazy at coverage, and he's proven like multiple times this year that he just is a liability sometimes. So I don't know. I've liked Craig Woodson's play this year, and I thought when Duggar came in at certain times, Duggar's actually played quite well. So I think I'd just like to give Duggar the reins and see if he can maybe hold on to a starting role and get back to his old self.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about the questionables. Since I don't think we got to Anthony Jennings, but I don't think Anthony Jennings is going to be like a factor, even though he's going to be out with I think it's a ankle injury. But the questionable, I think Christian Gonzalez is definitely going to play. That I think what Mike Vrabel said, I think it was just making sure that it was more of like some warm ups and some like reps. I would say more of like these drills, I would say. So nothing like extra crazy, but yeah, I think they're trying to play it safe with Christian Gonzalez for like these practices, and then having him get ready for the Saints game. So I don't think they're trying to wear him out. So I think he's playing. Marte Mapu is interesting. I would assume Marte Mapu might be playing. We don't know. And then Charles Woods, who we got through waivers. I don't know much about Charles Woods in a sense, but we know Marte Mapu in a sense. But what are your thoughts on like the linebacker position? And granted that NJ said that a linebacker is a must sign or draft, particularly
100%, yeah.
Particularly linebackers who are good in coverage, because we're technically good against the run, but in coverage we are a liability. Coverage.
I want to see more of. I want to see more of Jack Gibbons. I mean, I must say I haven't been linebacker and safety. I know this sounds stupid, but they're like two positions one of which we definitely need, and one of which is arguably still a need, even with Duggar and Woodson both there. But I kind of want to see, and Vrabel said he thought he wanted to play Mapu as a linebacker as well. I'd like to see those two guys step up a little bit more in this game and see. Oh my gosh. And just like see how they look, because I don't think. Tell me, how many snaps has Gibbons even gotten this season? I don't think it's a whole lot.
I'm trying to look that up right now for you.
Okay.
NJ brings up another good point that
92.
Okay.
And also NJ sensed that we might need another cornerback as well, potentially, because
alongside Gonzo, yeah. Not a stupid idea.
Because after the first 5 games, I think Carlton Davis is not worth the contract.
Carlton Davis is not working. He was horrible in that Buffalo game.
Yeah, and also those penalties were from Carlton Davis, even though these penalties were valid or not.
No, the real killer penalties were against the offensive line.
Yeah, but yeah, Davis has been a liability so far, and I don't know why he was paid 3 years for $60 million, because I feel like at some point we might need to draft another cornerback, but I feel like we're going to need a cornerback 2, less so much of a cornerback 1. But then again, NJ mentioned something of like, they can't gamble with Gonzo's ability all the time. I need Gonzo to be healthy. And we can't just rely on Davis being our cornerback 1, because we thought heading into during the offseason that Davis could be your Davis and Gonzo could be a perfect cornerback duo. But after the first 5 games, that's not what we were getting. That's more of the reality, because offseason is more like the expectations in a sense.
mean, yeah, you're gonna have to cover. It's their wide receivers. It's Shaheed and it's Olave. I'd put
And then potentially Cooks.
and potentially Brandon Cooks is a WR3. I would put Gonzo on Olave.
I don't know. Raheed Shaheed, man.
Rashid Shaheed is a speed demon, which
I know. Like Gonzo's your fastest corner.
Yeah,
right?
I was just had that voice in the back of my head, Austin. It's like,
and the problem was
actually dare we try to put Davis on Olave? No,
and that was the problem against the Dolphins. We couldn't beat against speedy wide receivers, and we're potentially going to see one of Shaheed. So
yeah,
but then again, Spencer Rattler has by far one of the more turnover-worthy quarterbacks in a sense. He makes these turnover-worthy plays.
But the thing about New Orleans is they also force turnovers, which is why not a lot, I'm going to say, but why some people are questioning writing off the Saints. I mean, I'm not writing them off by any means. I mean, exactly. Kamara is questionable, but you've got Olave, you've got Shaheed, you've potentially got Brandon Cooks, you've got some veterans on the defensive side of the ball. I mean,
you also got and you got Taysom Hill,
and Taysom Hill,
Wonder Boy,
the Wunderkind. Again, which you bring him up, covering tight ends. I mean, if you've potentially got Taysom Hill as a tight end down there, do we see another Dalton Kincaid situation? I hope we don't, but there is the question of who you put on him.
Yeah, I think those are probably I think the three big questions are like, how do we stop Juwan Johnson, because he has, at least fantasy-wise, I know it's kind of different, but he's been top 3 since the beginning of the season.
I think so, yeah. I picked him up in one of my leagues because of that, yeah.
Right. So who's going to cover him is a thing. The other thing is, can we shake Spencer Rattler and get him uncomfortable and overthrowing or underthrowing stuff? I definitely think that's a possibility with our D-line going against the Saints offensive line. And then the third thing is, how healthy is Alvin Kamara? Because
Kamara's questionable.
He's questionable right now.
If he's got, is it ankle or I thought it was knee?
It could be knee. It says leg. So
okay, but yeah, if he's questionable with a leg injury, either mid or lower, which means, and he's one of, if not the key player on offense down there. So
to answer your question, Gerard, Taysom Hill is 35, not 38.
Okay.
But let's quickly get into the enemy, which is the New Orleans Saints. And granted, I don't take the New Orleans. I take them seriously in a sense that we haven't beat them ever since Drew Brees and both Tom Brady retired. So we lost to the Winston-led Saints, and obviously we got shut out by the Carr-led Saints. But that's under the Belichick era. Now we're in the Mike Vrabel era. Things could be different. We're going up against Spencer Rattler for the first time. And here's the roster for the New Orleans Saints. Let's start off with the offense. We all know about Kamara. We know about Olave, concussion wide receiver, man. We got Shaheed, who is a speedster. We got Brandon Cooks and then Juwan Johnson. We know about these players. So we know that the Patriots run defense against running backs. We have been preventing running backs from exceeding at least 50 yards. What does it say? And I'll ask you this, Andy. What does it say about how well our run defense has been doing, especially going up against these good running backs like James Cook, for example, last week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really excited about our run defense. I mean, you're talking, Ashton Genty couldn't get going. Achane couldn't really get going against us in Miami. Jalen Warren. Last week, James Cook.
Chuba,
exactly. Chuba, we held to next to nothing.
Achane.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm really happy with our. In fact, if I can just insert a little tidbit here, I was watching Scatterboo run all over the Eagles the other night.
Oh, I heard. I saw that.
Their run defense. I mean, they lost Josh Sweat, Jalen.
They lost Milton Williams to us.
They lost Milton Williams to us, obviously.
Brandon Graham retired.
Brandon Graham retired, and what's his name is sick. So Jaden, I want to call him Jaden Higgins. I know that's wrong.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, thank you. So their run D was really depleted, and like I think Scat ran for like 125, 130 yards or something crazy. But yeah, back to the Saints. So as we said, Kamara is questionable. But yeah, I think who's their RB2? Kendre Miller and Devin Neal is their 3. So I think
Neal's a rookie, I think, and then Kendre Miller, I don't know.
Kendre Miller, I think, is a second year. He's either second or 3, might be third. And Devin Neal, I think, is a rookie. So I have very high defense in our defensive line being able to stop those two. An unhealthy Kamara, probably even an unhealthy Kamara, you'll need to keep.
So Kendre Miller, he is so he's the 3rd year, but not only he's the running back, but he's also the kickoff returner for the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. Kickoff returner, interesting.
Well, we will get to special teams later, but the one key position I want to focus on, since we get an idea of who the matchups are going to be for the wide receivers, and so basically, Gerard mentions I think Rattler will be running for dear life. We shall see, because I'm more interested about this offensive line, because this offensive line has been really decent, I would say, but you got the rookie Calvin Banks, you got Kais Furwaga, who was the former first rounder from Oregon State, but the one player I think we got to keep an eye on is Eric McCoy, who has an impressive pass blocking grade of a let me find the comparison. Let me find where is it. What is it? Eric McCoy, he allowed 0 sacks, only 1 quarterback hit, 2 pressures allowed, 1 hurry allowed. He had only 2 penalties. He has a pass blocking grade of an 81.5 and a 65.7. So I want to ask Austin, how can Milton Williams and Christian Barmore pressure Eric McCoy and potentially the rest of this offensive line, who have Trevor Penning, who was a former first rounder?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's more so abusing him alone or, taking advantage of what the offensive line is going to do blocking wise, because I believe recently in an interview, Christian Barmore was really praising Milton Williams, and he was kind of like, oh, I love playing with Milton Williams. It's kind of a thing where we talk to each other, and it's like, if they set up the double team on me, we're going, Milton, you got to win your one-on-one, and vice versa. So I don't think it's more so like, oh, are we going to be able to get past Eric McCoy? Because I almost feel like unless Tonga's in there, because Tonga would probably be lined up right on him. I think Eric McCoy would be helping out with a double team on one of Christian Barmore or Milton Williams. So it's more relying on one of those guys to just win the one-on-one matchup opposite of Eric McCoy. But Eric McCoy, I believe he's like the 4th ranked center in the league. He's right up there with, surprisingly, Garrett Bradbury this season. So he's been pretty lights out. The other notable person on their line is actually Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas this year. He's been playing incredible. I think he's the 17th ranked tackle in the league. So he's been doing really well. Everyone else is kind of 40s-ish ranking. But yeah, like you look at this line on paper, like they look good. Talisa Fuaga, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy, Calvin Banks. Like, not for nothing, these are guys like when I play like Madden Sim, it's like I'm always trying to trade for him because typically the Saints have always had like a pretty decent line. But yeah, Spencer Rattler's been rattled basically this whole season because of that.
Yeah, he has. I mean, Rattler he's not Josh Allen. He's not Tua. He's not even Bryce Young. easily rattled Austin, like you said, literally. Just weird because I liked Spencer Rattler coming into the draft back in 2024, but seeing as how, I mean, he just got like basically his first win in the league last week. So, and it's looking better against the Giants now. But yeah, I think that pass rush should easily be able to throw Spencer Rattler off easily. Well, nothing in the NFL I should say is easy, but under a guy like Mike Vrabel, I think it shouldn't. There should not be a tremendous amount of difficulty throwing Spencer Rattler off tomorrow.
When I take a look at this offensive line, there was this debate I think it was last offseason when we were heading into the draft, because there was talks that if we were on the debate of drafting Will Campbell or Calvin Banks, because this is a battle between the first two left tackles in the draft, in a sense, because the other tackle was Armand Membo, but he played on the right side. So basically, this is a battle between two rookie left tackles from this draft. So this is going to be an interesting battle to see which left tackle is worthy. But
yeah, honestly, Dal, you're and my guy Connerly has not been, Banks and Campbell have both fared considerably better than he.
Yeah, and Campbell, yeah, I was also a Calvin Banks Jr. guy. If Will Campbell's off the board, or maybe if Will Campbell doesn't fit the criteria, but at the same time, you got to also value, like, when I think about that draft, I also thought about will Calvin Banks fit Mike Vrabel's culture, or will Campbell will fit Mike Vrabel's culture when you think about it. And after a couple of weeks so far, both of these tackles have been looking good so far throughout the rookie season. But yeah, it's interesting that Will Campbell has been doing a better job than we all anticipate. Has been doing a great job
in both, as they said on the radio earlier, in both run and pass blocking.
Yeah. So Tyler mentioned something, the reason why Connerly has been struggling, and this is not easy, but Connerly is also playing opposite of where he was in college. He's playing right tackle. He played left tackle, maybe having struggles.
We've been there, done that. That was one of our wonder ball problems since Belichick left. Rotating tackles is never. Well, it's a left to right. I think right to left is more difficult than left to right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how this battle against these two I think this is a better offensive line for the New Orleans Saints ever since they plugged in Kyle Banks, because I knew Calvin Banks would be a need for the Saints, in a sense that who is it that retired? I forgot his name.
David Andrews.
No, for the Saints. He was
the Saints. Oh, that tackle who retired?
Yeah, I forgot.
Not Rankins or something like that.
Hold on, let me take a look. I think it's what is his name? He did retire. Oh, Ryan Ramczyk. Ryan Ramczyk. That guy. He was a former, Ryan Ramczyk, who was a former first rounder. He was drafted by the Saints, and I think they did drafted Kelvin Banks because of his retirement, and also because Trevor Penning has not been looking good as a left tackle. And I think he fits as a left guard in a sense. But let's quickly talk about this defense. And I think that we got before we head to the defense, do you have any idea of, like, I forgot to ask this. Do you have any idea of who will be lining up against Calvin Banks and who will be lining up against Thais Fuaga?
That's Landry.
So Landry against Fuaga, and then Chason against Banks.
You see, I'd put Landry against Banks. And Chasen against Fuanga.
Typically this season, Landry's lined up against the right tackle. So that's why I figured Fuaga. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like they're pretty interchangeable.
Okay.
But Calvin Banks has had a better season. So if you can put your better pass rusher on the opposite side, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that we get a general idea of who we want to see because I think we need to continue applying pressure because so far we are currently doing good in sacks wise. Like we have 11 sacks so far this season, but I want to see more from this defense. Like we got only one sack on Bryce Young 2 weeks ago, and then last week we only got one sack of a Josh Allen. But we're going up against Spencer Rattler, and I should see a lot more because originally Saints were supposed to be the worst team in the league, but after that win against the Giants, I don't know, but I think that this is going to be something. But none of you watching right now, if some of you haven't subscribed or click the like button, please make sure if you haven't already, please make sure that you click the like button and here on this channel. And we appreciate the support. But let's now switch over to this defense because I think we got a general idea of who the matchups are going to be from the Patriots cornerbacks to the Saints weapons because I feel like we need to improve, especially in the passing defense. But let's switch over to the Saints defense because these guys we can't sleep on them entirely because you still have some notable guys on that defense. You got Cam Jordan, who has been in this league for like God knows how long. You got Devon Gottschall, who we traded to.
I thought Gottschall went to Washington. No, that was Wise went to Washington.
Yeah, Wise went to Washington.
Cam Jordan is my age. He's 36.
Yeah. Then, it's interesting. Like, how is he still in this league? Cam Jordan, the other players
as a defensive tackle to boot.
Like Cam Jordan, let me read
his defensive end rather.
Let me read his achievements for Cam Jordan. He was a first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, NFL 2000 the 2010s All-Decade Team, and a Bart Star received a Bart Star Award. You can never underestimate this 36-year-old defensive end in Cam Jordan. And I think he's going to be a Saints Hall of Famer for sure. This guy has been tackling Ryan left and right, as we all know, in the history between the Saints and the Falcons. But would we see another test for Will Campbell to see him going up against Cam Jordan?
Well, 100%. Campbell has been doing a good job of standing his ground against, the Max Crosbys and the Joey Boses and the who was it who the Steelers have, whom he just laid out in lavender? I forget. TJ Watt. So he's been holding his own against, some of the best defensive ends in this league. Jordan will be definitely another test for him. Probably, out of these first 6 games, I'd have to go probably Crosby and then Watt and then him. Even slightly ahead of Joey Bosa because Joey Bosa is getting up there in age too. But yeah, that'll be a very interesting matchup to watch him against Will Campbell. Because he's a key part of that Saints pass rush. And
for so many years.
But Maye is, we saw it against Buffalo. He's capable of creating. We even saw shades of that last year when he took however many sacks. It was north of 30. But anyway, but yeah, that'll be one of the key things to watch tomorrow will be that Jordan Campbell matchup on the the left tackle.
There's one other player that we might want to keep an eye on, and I think he will be a test for Morgan Moses too, or maybe for Will Campbell, and that is Carl Granderson. Even though he had 2 missed tackles, he has a run defense of a 55.9. He has 3.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, 8 quarterback pressures. He has a 7.4 pass rushing win rate, and he has 3 tackles for loss. This is going to be a guy we might want to keep an eye on. Even though Cam Jordan is up in age, Carl Granderson is a guy that you do not want to underestimate.
No. I mean, this, like we were saying, I mean, this Saints like D-line and linebacker core, I mean, they're not, let me look it up, like, so here I go.
He also has 4 run stops.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
So this is a guy you do not want to mess with.
Receiving, rushing. Here we go. Oh, that's funny. New Orleans has a Oh, no, never mind. That's not in order. Oh well. I tried.
Well,
here we go.
You got it?
No, I will have it momentarily. Austin, kill the awkward silence.
Actually, there's also one player we want to keep an eye. So basically, on this defensive tackle, there's some
Saints are 20th. Saints are 20th in run defense.
In run defense.
And 9th in pass defense. They have a top 10 passing defense. Yeah.
Yeah, this Saints team they're not that good, but they beat the Giants. But
on the other hand, the Panthers also have a top 10 pass defense, and look what we did to them.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, Saints are not to mess with.
No,
because we haven't beat them. We haven't beat them in a while now. But
yeah, I mean, we had that shutout Honey Badger game with Mac a couple of years ago, and then
Mac's retired, so we're not going up against that guy.
Mac's rookie season, we didn't do. I think it was like we tried at a comeback that game, and it got to be unexpectedly close, and then Mac threw a pick. It was one of those games where he threw a pick and it was done. So I think the test for the guards and Brett Bradbury is going up against a young defensive tackle in Brian Breesy, who was a former first rounder in 2023, who went to Clemson. He was a former ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was a first team All ACC, second team All ACC, and third team All ACC. And this guy you don't want to mess with, because last season he had 7.5 sacks with the Saints. So this guy you do not want to mess with. So I want to ask you this, Austin. How can these guards and Bradbury continue to do well on the pass blocking up against Gotcha and young Breesy?
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be tough. Breesy is a really good player. I mean, I really like Breesy and Carl Granderson if I had to choose, the 2 people that I really like on the Saints defense. Obviously, Demario Davis is, an old veteran, great. Same thing with Cameron Jordan. He's a solid veteran, multi-time Pro Bowler.
Chase Young, too.
Chase Young. I mean, he was really good to start his career in Washington. I thought he was going to be a lot more in San Fran opposite of Nick Bosa. That didn't really pan out. And, he signed with the Saints. And that's somebody that I wish we might have gone after. But I think the Saints defense is really underrated, but it will be a test. Will Campbell has been lights out, but if they put somebody's going to have to go against Morgan Moses, and that's what scares me. Like this whole season, Morgan Moses has just been first half does okay, second half fizzles out. First half does okay, second half fizzles out. He's just been really unreliable, I guess, at that right tackle spot. Granted, our tackle play was a million miles worse with Vidarian Lowe and Caden Wallace and all sorts of other people having to rotate in last year, musical chairs essentially.
Vidarian Lowe should not even still be on this team. I mean, that is ridiculous and a half.
Right. But I think our O-line is ranked, I don't know, 5th, 7th. So, like, we have something crazy because I was looking at something that was like 2023, we were the 31st ranked offensive line. 2024, we were dead last or like second to last
and
again.
Now we're like 7th, I think it is.
We're top 10. So it's been an instant turnaround. And obviously a lot of that credit goes towards the center to the left side of the ball. I mean, our 2 rookies have been lights out, and our center has been a welcoming surprise. Somebody that the Vikings pretty much wrote off, and I know we entertained, do we bring in Bradbury because David Andrews is kind of blah, blah, blah. He's worked out tremendously.
That was so funny. I was like, I remember I just landed in Hawaii, and I heard about David Andrews retiring, and then the Vikings were interested in trading Bradbury, and I'm like, okay, I just kind of pulled it out of my you-know-what. I'm like, oh, geez, might not be a bad idea. The next thing I know, it winds up happening. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I don't remember any of the 3 of us being particularly excited about Bradbury, entering this season. But yeah, he's filled David Andrews' shoes pretty damn well.
There's the thing. I'm more scared. I think when we signed Bradbury, we all thought that he would be a liability because he's good in the pass rush. He's good in the pass rush, not in run blocking. But when it comes to the pass blocking, he was a liability for the Minnesota Vikings. And look what is happening now to the Vikings. Oh, a complete disaster when you have Ryan Kelly, who suffered another concussion. And we have Garrett Bradbury for a small deal. 2 years and $12 million for a former first round center. And then when you look at Ryan Kelly, who the Vikings signed because he was the other center, they gave him a 2-year, $18 million deal.
That's weird. 2-year 18. That's interesting. Oh boy. Yeah. Not looking very good for the Minnesota Vikings right now. The center of that offensive line.
Yeah, but I think Bradbury has been doing well. But when we're going up against these when we're going up against this defensive line, there's one player I'm still scared about, and that is Ramondre Stevenson. Yet again, because when you look at this running back room, we just elevated Terrell Jennings to the active roster.
I want to see. I heard a guy on the radio yesterday say Trevion Henderson has been a disappointment. I'm like, no, Trevion Henderson has not been a disappointment because when he's actually made plays, he's been pretty good. Cut down Ramondre Stevenson's flipping snaps. Okay, I mean, like I just said earlier, the Saints are a good turnover team. I think they might be top 5 in turnovers, maybe even top 3. The moment he fumbles, bench him. Do not put him back in that game, please. If anything, even just start Henderson. I don't want to. Stevenson, like every time, he had the 2 touchdowns, but every time he touched the ball in that Buffalo game, it's like, oh my God, do not, like I said, it's not a baby, it's a football. You don't need to be, you can be rough with it.
Just hold on to the ball. It's the problem is
exactly
the posture and the position of how he holds the ball. Like, I don't get it.
Vrabel, I mean, that's the one thing I found frustrating with Vrabel, although is, his basic refusal to discipline Stevenson, although we know Belichick over-disciplined his players all the time. But, he did say that, he did admit, the fumbling issue is something that needs to be fixed or worked on. The problem is with Stevenson, it looks like it's a chronic thing. Like it's something he's not going to get over. And I don't that man is. You drafted Stevenson in the second round for a reason. I mean, the Bears and the Texans both really wanted him. I mean, just bite the bullet, Vrabel, and do not play favorites with a guy who could lose you the game. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I do value that about Vrabel, though, the fact that, he doesn't necessarily throw someone in the doghouse. He has the confidence in them.
He's not,
back.
As I said, he's not Belichick that way.
Yeah, because one of the big things, right? We still don't know why the hell Malcolm Butler sat in Super Bowl 52.
Exactly.
And
there could be, sorry to cut you off, but there could probably be a tell-all book.
Well, apparently they're doing some sort of TV show or special, and Butler's supposed to explain everything, or somebody's supposed to explain what happened. And if I can get the information on that, I'll be sure to forward it to all the fans here. And
because that Butler sidelining is one thing that, of course, as we know, this fan base never forgave him for.
I don't think I understand. There's the problem I have with it's not that I hate on Stevenson, but I think that he has done well when he scores touchdowns, but when it comes to ball security, that's where he doesn't improve.
And he's also a block. I think, Austin, you've mentioned this. He's a blocker. And
what, Henderson?
Yeah, no, not Henderson, Stevenson.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trope was we drafted Henderson because he's going to be a really good change of pace, like speed, back, explosiveness, and he has the pass blocking. This year, it's kind of proved like Ramondre's been better at pass blocking, and actually Trevion's had a couple holds while he's been trying to pass block. So I'd like to see them clean that up. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Henderson can be your every down guy. If he can, great. But his history at least has proven that whenever he was given the rock for a majority share, he has more than often been injured in some way, shape, form. We need to probably – I mean, I would be down to draft another running back in the second round next year. Like, I don't even care. Even the first if we have to. But I almost feel like, right tackle maybe more of a need. But again, the big thing with the draft is it all depends on what you can do in the offseason free agency-wise to build up before you go into the draft. So we could be looking next year and it's like, I don't know, maybe as silly as it sounds, maybe we sign somebody like a Najee Harris who's – he's out for the season, but he proved 4 years in a row that he was 1,000-yard rusher. And, he rarely fumbled, it seemed like. So just maybe like a solid power back. Like that, we're missing that LeGarrette Blount guy that can just carry 4 people on him and just keep going.
What I will say is this, is I will not go as far as Trevion's been a disappointment, but he is not Omarion Hampton or Quinshon Judkins. He is very, very much a kid. And, he's, that's, I don't know if he'll, he had a lack of stability in college. And, I don't know if that can be, I don't want to say trained out of him, if that's something that can be worked on or not.
To me, Henderson is really like a one-cut runner, like A-Chain, where it's like he just needs that one hole, like a lane right there, boom. He'll be halfway,
gone, and all the way across like he did on that kickoff return.
Right.
Gets the block off to the races.
The thing with Henderson is that you got to remember this. Henderson, when he was with when he was back at Ohio State during his freshman year, he was the lead back. And guess what happened when he was the lead back? He had injuries. He had dealt with a lot of injuries. But when Quinshon Judkins came in, he looked a lot better. But that was because he needed like this running back duo like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in a sense. And Tyler mentions this. Gibbs took to week 11 of his rookie year to see a real
interesting
in his usage.
Tyler, thanks for that point.
But the thing is with Henderson is he's not a first rounder. He was projected to be in the late first round, but he was in the early second round. And I think that there's only one problem that I have with Henderson, and that is his pass blocking. That's my only disappointment that I have with Trayvon Henderson is because he was supposed to be a good pass blocker up front. And the reason why Drake Maye has all these sacks is not because of the offensive line. It was more because of how like Hunter Henry and maybe like Trayvon Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson have done a below average job with blocking, and that's why Drake Maye got these sacks. But then again, Drake Maye is moving around, and that's why he gets the sacks. So that's not all on the offensive line's fault in a sense. Yeah, let's talk about let's quickly get into Gerard's question, and I think that let's now switch over to the receivers going up against the Saints quarterbacks. And the one cornerback we need to talk about is some Kool-Aid McKinstry, because he is taking over for Marshawn Lattimore after Marshawn Lattimore has left for the Washington Commanders, I would assume. And so
Correct.
the lead cornerback one. But Gerard asked this: can Kool-Aid McKinstry hold off Diggs?
I definitely think he can, although I think it's going to be harder than it was previous weeks. We looked at Diggs coming into the season with high hopes, and through the first, I'd say 4 weeks, I guess, up to the Panthers, he really didn't do – up until the Steelers, he didn't really do much.
Yeah.
So the first 3 weeks. The fourth week against the Panthers, he started to come alive. He had an over 100-yard receiving game. And then in the Bills, I mean, unequivocally had his best game of the season. So you'd like to assume that Stephon Diggs is on this upward trajectory in terms of receiving.
He had his best game in 3 years, or 2 years rather, against the Bills. So
and first time back-to-back 100-yard receiving seasons in over 3 years, I believe.
Correct.
So it's just like everything is pointing. He's getting better and better and better, and the confidence is building.
The arrow's pointing up. Yeah,
I'd like to assume that that's going to warrant more attention. So I will say, like, McKinstry isn't going to make it easy. I do think McKinstry is making a case to be, top 15 corners in this league type of thing, maybe top 10. The 2 picks certainly helped last week. Granted, I don't think the Saints have necessarily faced anybody noteworthy. So the fact that they're
also
Sorry,
Austin, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm more so thinking we're gonna have to rely on Booty or maybe Mac Hollins in this one. To be honest, I feel like they're really gonna try and just shut down Diggs because of how positive that connection has been the past 2 weeks. I think they're definitely game planning for that. Their other game plan is probably every time you see that guy Ramondre with the football, you have to punch that thing.
Austin, please don't.
Huge announcement, guys, and I'm sorry to cut you guys off. We have officially hit 100 subscribers.
Woo!
Let's go.
And it
Thank
was
you, guys.
a long-ass journey to get to 100 subscribers, but we appreciate all of you guys for the support, and we can't do the show without you, but thank you for giving us the support in a way that this is a small show, and we're basically working our asses off to make sure that we have a good show. But
I believe the Giants were without Neighbors when they played NOLA last week.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
true.
But there's another player who I see in the secondary that we might have to keep an eye on is Justin Reed, who is with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
So will this be will this be a test for Hunter Henry to see if he can fly again over Justin Reed? Because Justin Reed, he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a former Super Bowl winner in a sense. Because I'm looking at Justin Reed. Let me take a look at these stats again to see what else we have. So we got Reed, but also we have to keep an eye on Sanker, who only allowed 14 yards, 0 touchdowns allowed, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups, a 16.7 passer rating allowed, and a 78.8 coverage. 10 times a lot better than Justin Reed in a sense. But the reason why I don't know why the Chiefs release Justin Reed in a sense, and why the Saints love taking Chiefs players in a sense. So I don't know why, but you tell me.
Yeah, I really like Justin Reed. I think it'll definitely be a tough matchup. I want to say it's probably up there with the Steelers in terms of like the difficulty at safety we're about to have to face, because Deshaun Elliott for the Steelers, I think, is a pretty decent safety. And then obviously Jabril Peppers. I mean, I can't say anything bad about Jabril. He gave us a lot of good memories while our team's been pretty shit, to be honest. So, but other than that, I mean, Panthers, I don't think have a notable safety room. The Raiders certainly don't.
Yeah, I don't think they have a safety room.
Yeah, so you could be looking at the toughest safety room matchup so far. I mean, I don't really truly know Jonas Sanker's ability, but
yeah, but I think his PFF coverage rate is so good. It's like a 78.9. Better
really?
than
Yeah, so yeah, we're probably looking at going against the toughest safety room, and you said they're ranked like 7th pass grade or something like that. So
Correct.
This is definitely going to be a ground and pound game, and I am praying that Ramondre holds on to that damn football.
Either that, or like I said, just do not play him as your running back one. I mean, really, it's that simple. If I'm Mike Vrabel and I'm looking at this New Orleans defense right now, I'm thinking the first guy I want to give the ball to is Trevion Henderson. He's not going to lose it.
Yeah,
sorry. I had to do it.
This is like the third, and I'm going to say this again. This is like a third fumble that he lost this season, and he's leading the league in fumbles. The next person who is leading the league in fumbles is Derrick Henry.
Right? Yeah.
I think Ramondre has 4 this year. He's already above halfway his total for last year.
3 against Pittsburgh and 2 against Pittsburgh.
2 against Pittsburgh, 1 against Panthers, 1 against Buffalo. So, yeah, we're at 4 this year.
His high against Carolina too. Great.
No, I don't think I see 1 against Carolina. I think I remember it was 2 against Pittsburgh. I think another one was from Gibson, but
no, I think he lost. He might have had a fumble against Vate.
It was more Buffalo and Pittsburgh, but
yeah,
it's actually going to be a hero test. There's actually one reason why. There's one player who is really good against the run defense, and this guy has a 90.5 percentage. His name is Demario Davis. You do not want to mess with this guy. He has 47 tackles. He has 9 tackles for a loss, no gain. He has 1 QB pressure, 12 run stops. He only allowed 2 touchdowns at 132 yards. His coverage is a 66.5, but against the run, this guy is unstoppable. So this is going to be a huge, and I mean a huge test for the running backs, because this guy's good against the run. So,
yeah, Mondre had 3 fumbles. I apologize.
Correct. Yeah, I just looked it up. It was 3. 2 against Pittsburgh, 1 against Buffalo.
Just as I predicted. But how do we stop Demario Davis regardless? Because this guy's good against the run.
You use your speedy running back. You don't use your ball-dropping running back.
Yeah, I look at this defense and I go, Cam Jordan, slow physical. Godchow, slow physical. Breesy, speed. Granderson, slow physical. Demario Davis, slow physical. Pete Warner, slow physical. Chase Young, slow physical. Like, their whole team, defense-wise, at least the front 7 is very physical, strong, like rushers, defenders. So
he's built to stop a guy like Stevenson.
Yeah, I really think we're going to need to add some speed this week.
Yeah.
Maybe see some more Kyle Williams. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not looking great for him. I don't know how he's going to get on the rotation, let alone Chisholm, to be honest. So,
I mean, I think that last Pop Douglas play against the Steelers was a benchable offense. I'm sorry. I mean, you know,
I think he's bounced back though with the sideline catch on the Bills. I don't know exactly what he did against the Panthers, but I don't know. Again, I agree with you. I don't think Pop Douglas's job is safe. I think he's the one most at risk of losing his
Williams
spot.
I want Williams or Chisholm on that field for
Good
a
thing you
non-eligible
asked that question, Andy, because Gerard asks, do we see Williams and Chisholm making appearances?
I hope so. I hope the crap so.
Because I do not want to see the 6th game where Chisholm is inactive. Because he has been inactive so far. Kyle Williams hasn't been utilized a lot so far. And so because we're utilizing a lot of Diggs, a lot of Booty, a lot of Henry, and somewhat a little more of Hollins. So
I mean, Hollins has been trustworthy, though. I wouldn't, the really only non-trustworthy pass catcher has been Pop Douglas.
I don't disagree because he is unfortunately small, but at the same time, this guy, after that Pittsburgh game, I lost trust in Pop after that stupid 4th down play. And I watched that.
You fall forward and that drive's alive. It's that easy. Don't be cute.
Yeah, you don't want to be cute. But yeah, I think that the one thing I want to see is there's a potential possibility that Drake May might have his 3rd interception, but I could be totally wrong. I'm not going to jinx it. But if Drake May continues to have a great game against this, I would say a more test of a defense, I would say, then it's going to be an interesting game because as Stephon Diggs said so in a press conference, Saints are a really good team regardless of what the record says. It doesn't matter if the Saints are bad or not. It could possibly be a trap game.
The Buffalo pass defense was ranked 2nd, and I don't think I heard a single guy say, who didn't think Drake was going to throw. I can't name a single guy who did not think that Drake would throw a pick in that game. It just, they were thinking it was a given because of the way that pass defense was ranked. Now we're talking about New Orleans, 7th. Could McKinstry get one? Yes. Could Justin Reed get one? Yes. Those are, their secondary is arguably better and deeper, definitely deeper than ours. So, yeah, it will be a test tomorrow in the Big Easy. I've seen a score that I was watching Pat's All Access last night, and they said they both thought 24-6, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is not a team. They might be 1-4, but this is not a team.
Really? I can't believe you said this about Stevenson.
Stevenson, yes. Is that Stevenson, right? Yes, he does. That's absolutely true. Laugh all you want.
No, because I saw Baby Oil. I know the reference. I know these references all too well.
Baby, come on. But Dow, he's being serious. He actually does that.
Wait, what?
I believe so.
No, I'm making a joke, Andy. He doesn't actually.
But it would have been funny if he actually.
Oh, as if he fumbles so much he uses baby oil. He has to use baby oil. Yeah.
But yes, I hope Stevenson does hold the ball against Demario Davis. The funny thing about Demario Davis, he's 36 years old. He is still a good football player. He was drafted, and here's the saddest part. He was drafted by the Jets for 3 seasons. Then he was with the Browns. Then he was back with the Jets. And now Davis is with the Saints since 2018. And ever since 2018, he was a first-team All-Pro 2019, four-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, and he was an NFL sole tackles co-leader. So this guy you do not want to mess with because you have a lot of old guys like Davis, Jordan. Imagine if Marshawn Lattimore was still there. You got a lot of old guys. And Saints, they're a team that are usually under the beyond the cap. So this is not an easy matchup.
McKinstry's fairly young, 23.
For the Saints?
McKinstry is 23.
Yeah. Well, he was he is now a a second year player. So yeah, I'm not going to be surprised. But any player I want to take a let's talk about Chase Young for a second because I know that Chase Young. We were going up against Chase Young, and this guy originally he was supposed to be I would say some talented guy. He's gonna be like one of those magical. I don't know how to describe Chase Young because the thing with Chase Young is that he is one of the most mediocre edge rushers we will ever go up against with because all of his injuries. Do you think we might see a bit of Chase Young for when our offense goes up against this defense?
Yeah, I think if anybody lines up on the right side, it's going to be pretty tough, and I think Chase Young could potentially have a field day if we don't get that taken care of. I mean, Chase Young's no slouch, right? Like, obviously, he hasn't been making headlines, but at one point he was a top first-round draft pick. And, I mean, the Saints line and linebackers, they're all good enough to where if you're not careful, like, somebody's going to have an advantage somewhere and you're going to make a mistake and they're going to take advantage of it. So,
yeah.
I don't know. We were scared of the Bills' defense last week because of their front and linebackers.
They
played pretty well. So
they were without Matt Milano, but
only for a half. Only for a half. He played the first half.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. And people thought that Bills' defense would be all over May. Anyway.
Yeah. But Chase Young, according to Nelson, he said Chase Young has been getting better. He had 70% pressure last year. That was the reason why he got an extension. But I think Washington really screwed him up big time, especially when you have a coach who has done a shitty job. He's done a great job with the Panthers, but he did not do a great job with the Commanders, as we probably know with drafting. But let me get rid of that. But yeah, let's now move on to the special teams and let's take a look at all of this. But let's take a look at the special teams, and I think that the only player we're gonna have to keep an eye on for special teams is both Kendre Miller and yes, Shaheed.
Yeah, he's a kick returner, isn't he?
Punt returner.
Okay.
Yeah, Shaheed's speed is lights out. I mean, he's arguably one of the best deep threats in the league just because of that. And yeah, I mean, unlike people like Tyquan Thornton, who's been bums, and I feel like Rashid can do a lot more stuff than just run fast, though it's a lot of what we really see. And Kendre Miller, I mean, same thing. He's just I think he's like 5'7", 5'8". He's really short, but he's really speedy. So yeah, those two are going to be. It's definitely going to be a test for our special teams group. I'm not familiar with Kai Kroger, punt wise.
I don't know Blake Grupe either. But is this going to be a test for Brandon Schooler and the rest of the players who usually play on special teams? Because I know Brandon Schooler was a former first team All-Pro and Pro Bowler, so I would see this could be a test for him. But what do you think?
It could well be. I mean, seeing with Shaheed's speed.
Yeah, the thing with Shaheed is like he's a home run type of player. He gets the ball in his hands and he gets a lane gone. Yeah. Like you can't give them open lanes. So yeah, it's probably gonna be because I thought Miami, like Malik Washington, was probably the toughest returner we had to face, and obviously he got that punt return on us. So it's probably to the levels of that with Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, Rashid is on the punt returns too, so we'll see. I'm interested to see who's also on the kick returns, though. I assume it's Rashid, but it's not really listed here. No, but the secondary. There's always 2 returners. You know what I mean?
Let me take a look at this roster. So basically, you have
Because it
Google
puts,
Amadi. I don't know who that is.
yeah, it puts him as the backup punt returner. So I'm
He
just
was-
curious if like Shaheed is with Miller.
He's a safety. Let me take a look at his PFF. So he's a cornerback too. So basically he only has 0 interceptions. He has a 60%. I don't see his special teams career, so that's going to suck. I only see his snaps on defense, but not like snaps on like special teams. So, Nelson, don't remind me this. Don't remind me this again, please. No. I do not want to hear this bullshit again.
No, Tyquan Thornton. Yeah, that's not a name we want to see. Tyquan Thornton.
I mean, we just have to accept the fact that our coaching staff has been absolute dog shit and didn't know how to develop players. And that
Yeah, true. And you could say that for Polk and Baker too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had guys for like the past 3 years who just didn't know how to develop players on offensive players at all.
Speaking of Jalen Polk, he's now with the Saints because we traded him away to the Saints. Yep. And I don't want to see that guy ever again. As much as I had promised for him, this guy has shown me nothing. Like I was no advocator for Jalen Polk or Javon Baker.
And I know Tyler liked Polk. To be frank, I liked Baker, but
yeah,
Baker's with the Eagles, Polk's with the Saints, and neither of them's really doing anything right now.
We shall see. We shall see, Tyler. We shall see.
Okay, oh jeez.
I don't blame him. He loves Polk. But
I know. I know.
But that's gonna suck. But I think we can now get into the preview to the game predictions for this game, because this game is a trap game. I think this is a real definition of a trap game. As much as
it is a trap game,
100%. Because we all think that after the Bills game, the rest of the season is gonna look easy. We shall see, because we're going on the road for the second time in a row. No, for the second time. So I'll start off with you, Andy, then get to Austin, and then get to my game predictions. And everybody in the chat can partake as well, because we can react to your scores as well. But also, if you had questions and comments for us, now this will be a perfect time for questions and comments, because I think that we were trying to focus on like previewing this game and not like want to focus on like the questions and comments at this moment. But now this would be a perfect time. But let's start off with the game predictions, and Andy, you can start it off.
I mean, trap game, yeah, 100%. We've talked about the Saints defense, a lot, on the other hand, they got Spencer Rattler, who's still an unproven quarterback. Kamara's injured. They do have legit wide receivers in Shaheed and Olave. On the other hand, they could really clamp down on Steph Diggs, Austin, like you said. This could be really a defensive battle like last week was against Buffalo. A second road game in a row, but I think you're riding off of last week's victory, but will Mike Vrabel being the coach, I don't see overconfidence. So I think when push comes to shove, it's a Pats win. And I'm going to go 2017. None of these, I frequently said, none of these games is going to be a blowout this year. I mean, the Pats are still young, but Vrabel is a proven coach. I definitely see, I see a defensive, I see kind of a slow game tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to say Pats 20, Saints 17.
Interesting. 2017 Patriots?
Yes.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, so I think the Patriots can't go into Buffalo on a Sunday night and come away with an upset win while the Bills wear the rivalry jerseys the only time they're ever going to wear them, and then go to the Saints and then lay an egg. It just can't happen.
Exactly.
So to me, it's like your toughest battle was the week before. Like everything after should be smooth as gravy. Now, granted, I'm not going to say, oh, it's a complete blowout. It's going to be easy because, again, this Saints team isn't bad. I know they're 1-4, but on paper, they have the players to be a somewhat competitive team in this league. I think if New England's defense can kind of keep the explosive plays limited when it comes to Rashid Shaheed, Olave, Kamara, they can win a lot of those situational downs where, maybe we get stuck in a couple 3rd and longs or maybe a 4th and short, like maybe we convert on those. And then if May and Diggs can really keep producing and just keep elevating that play, getting a couple chunk plays, maybe get Diggs' first touchdown. That's what I'm really hoping for.
I want to see Diggs' first touchdown.
And, with Kamara not being 100%, I really think a lot of this offense for the Saints does play through Kamara. And I'm interested to see how much of a detriment he's going to be tomorrow.
Kamara is the engine of their offense, pretty much. Yeah, it has been for the past.
If they don't rely on Kamara, I can see some Shaheed and Olave and possibly Juwan Johnson. So never underestimate.
They do have Juwan Johnson as well, and Taysom Hill.
Gerard makes a good point too, though. Like Gibson being hurt for the season does hurt us a lot because it went from us being able to have like a 3 rotation to kind of being like stuck to this 2-man, and then if you have Ramondre where he's just going to keep fumbling, then really you're only going to be having the one guy. It feels like so it could get bad quick running back wise, but I think if the defense can also just force the Saints to really have to settle for field goals a bunch, it could be good. I'm going Patriots 34, Saints 16. I think we handedly win this game.
So interesting. Let me look at a couple of your common scores right now. And Gerard saying, I was thinking Pats 27, Saints 16. Decent score. Decent score. This is a really interesting game in the sense that we are losing 4 players and the Saints are losing 1. Then again, the injury report doesn't dictate everything, but it really does hurt that we're losing a couple of players. So that will be a detriment. But then again, you can never underestimate the Saints defense. If Drake May has a bad day, you know what the media is going to go after, especially going up against the Saints. We're supposed to destroy the Saints, especially when we had a 2-game losing streak against the Saints.
Let me just say this, though, Dow. May, yes, he threw a pick against Pittsburgh, but May arguably hasn't had, I think even though I think it was his highest yardage, his worst game was against the Raiders. His worst game has been that season opener. So my fingers are ever crossed that it's like, because I just don't, the last thing I want to hear, cause like there was a guy on EEI who today put May as his 13th best quarterback. He had Drake May ahead of Bo Nix. And I'm like, I don't want him to throw a pick and have that he's a pick machine coming out of the woodwork again. I mean, that just can't happen at all.
Yeah. This is going to be, but so far Drake May has been looking well. But there are times where it will be a bad day, especially going to New Orleans since 2017, I would say. But this is going to be one interesting battle for sure. But we're going up against Spencer Rattler, who is definitely not your starting quarterback, especially when you drafted Tyler Shuck in the 2nd round. And he's I don't know what the Saints. And you're going up against Kellen Moore, who is a first-time head coach. But I see more of him as an offensive coordinator. No offense to the Saints, but I think this will be a trap game for sure. But I'm not going to be having optimism. So I'm going to be cautious for a little bit, hold my brakes off of it. But I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to say 24. I would say 24-17 Patriots. And then Paperwave said 38-10 Patriots.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a game. This is a game where if I look at it and I'm like, I would automatically, last year's team, I'd put it down as a loss. Automatically.
I was thinking the same thing too. Like, Saints are not to be messed with. Because even with or without Sean Payton, even with Dennis Allen, we couldn't even beat the Saints. And I thought these Saints would be more of an easier matchup, but nah, they broke the brakes off of us in our home. So that's not good, but we're going up against them at Caesar Superdome, which was where Super Bowl 59 took place. So this is going to be
36, more 36. It's where we won our first Super Bowl. And Vrabel largely made, Vrabel made that pick six happen.
Gerard has some interesting stats. Fox Sports, let me read this. Fox Sports predicts Pats 25, Saints 20 with a 3.5 spread. He also said that in their last 3 head-to-head meetings, New Orleans has taken down New England 2 times.
Correct. Yep.
But that's going to be it for today's live stream. And everybody in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts about this Patriots Saints game? And what are your score predictions? I'm turning this over to you. What are your score predictions? And by the way, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure, even though we're up to 100 subscribers, we will be doing a show celebrating 100 subscribers. I don't know when exactly. I have to look at my schedule. I have to look at my schedule to do this. So be on the lookout for that Q&A, a live stream. You do not want to miss it. So for that Q&A live stream, it's going to be me, Andy, Austin, and Thomas, depending on our schedules, because not all of our schedules are going to be cohesive with each other. So not everybody's going to be available, but we will try our best to have a Q&A segment. We will have a call-in segment, as I promised. And Austin will be giving out cards if you're interested in collecting cards. So we will tell you when that's going to be. So that's going to be and obviously I want to give some huge shout outs to those who have been supporting us along the way. Huge shout out to Gerard, huge shout out to Jonathan, as always, huge shout out to Paperwaves, aka Tyler, as our producer and mod. Huge shout out to some of the other guys who couldn't make us along the way. Huge shout out to if there are any others that I haven't shout out, huge shout out to all of you guys for supporting us along the way, especially some of the usual suspects like Nelson, like Eric, like NJ. You guys have been doing a great job of supporting us, and I can't wait to see you throughout the rest of the Matrix MayeFlower Voyage. We really appreciate it. But if you haven't already, please make sure that you and hit subscribe. It's completely free. It helps us grow the channel. Now that we're on to a new task, Tyler said it himself. 50 away from 150, guys. Let's make this happen. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pats.
Go Pats.
Go Pats.
Peace out.